The show is made possible in part by its supporting sponsors. Blue Water Power Group of Companies, Joe's Discount Tire, and AskGuy.ca. A conversation can go any direction, right? And I'm expecting this one to go many directions here. Welcome, everybody, as we sit here and talk with my longtime friend, Andrew Thomas. Thanks for coming by, buddy.
Thank you, David. Nice
even
to
though,
be here.
Yeah, even though I called him up and said, let's do an interview. And he's like, okay. And then he got here and he's like, what exactly are we doing?
You just never know.
It's just this, just hang out. We got lots to talk about. You're from Sarnia originally, right?
I am. Sarnia and surrounding area. Sarnia, lived a little bit in Petrolia, a little bit in Brigden.
Oh, yeah?
So always around the area.
I never knew that about you, Petrolia and Brigden. Okay. Yeah. So what kept you in Sarnia, though?
Family,
yeah,
I guess, was the big one. And then I went to college here at Lambton College in the Child and Youth Worker program.
Right.
And then I've always just kind of stayed in the area.
Yeah. What was like public school like for you?
It was we moved around a lot when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I went to Cathcart for a bit.
Oh, yeah.
I went to Centennial out in Petrolia. I went to Queen Elizabeth in Petrolia.
Oh.
I went to Brigden Public for a little while.
Right.
And then I ended up at Confederation Central, where I graduated from.
Yeah. What was that like, jumping around so much as a young
It was very hard to maintain friends.
Yeah. Because we didn't have the internet back then.
Didn't have the internet, and we didn't have a curriculum that was stable through the entire school board. So I would learn something at one school, and then I'd go to a different school, and they either hadn't learned it yet or had already learned it, and I'd be behind in certain spots.
Yeah, right. I see.
So
no consistency between the schools, I guess.
That's right.
Talk about your parents.
Mom and Dad, they got divorced when I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great relationship, I'd say. It was probably a good thing for everybody involved.
Okay.
That was one of the reasons why we moved around a lot, I think. My mom got remarried and to a really nice guy, and unfortunately both my mom and dad have passed now.
Yeah. Well, now moving on into high school.
Yes.
Let's,
So right at that pivotal time in life, my mom got remarried.
And that's kind of where, like, when the divorce happened, that was around high school time, right?
Yeah, right in grade 8.
Yeah. And that's an awkward time it's an awkward age, right?
Certainly is.
And now add that into the mix.
Yeah, and moving to a new area. So I was in Sarnia at that point, and we moved out to Watford.
Yeah.
So I started to attend Watford, East Lambton Secondary School, sorry.
Oh, okay.
So being the new kid with a school of 310 people who went to school together from kindergarten right through, it was a little bit difficult, and I don't think I really hit my stride there till grade 10 or 11. So it was, school was always a bit of a challenge, the social aspect of school.
Yeah. When you say you hit your stride in grade 10 and 11, what was it that all of a sudden clicked?
I think I found a confidence that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
And I also got a girlfriend. I know it's hard to believe that I was able to do that. And she was pretty popular there and stuff, so that helped me get in with some of the kids and get accepted.
Got in with a popular circle.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. So was it fair to say, like, you couldn't kind of wait to get out of high school and finish that up and move on, or were you...
Pretty much. I mean, I knew that I wanted to, when I left high school, I knew that I wanted to help people. That was going to be my goal. I looked at being a teacher, but the grades weren't quite there for that. I joined the peer counseling group in high school.
Okay.
As soon as the program was developed, I joined it. We went down to Harrow because they were already running it there. So
what exactly is it?
So it was a group of kids that were interested in helping other kids in the school that were struggling, either with social aspect of things, making friends. So we would talk to them and interact with them and do things at lunch with them, or kids that were struggling with their mental health. And so if they were having a bad day, they could go to the office and they could say, for example, is Andrew available right now for me to talk to? I kind of need to chat.
Yeah.
And then they would page me out of my room, whichever class I was in. I'd come down to the office, I'd meet whoever it was, we'd sit and chat for a bit, and then if it was too big for what I could handle, I would let the teacher know, and we'd reach out for other assistance.
It's interesting, because that was like, what time frame would that have been? Like,
oh, now you're going to age me. So it would have been 1991,
and
1991.
Okay. And the reason I bring that up is you talk about mental health, right, as we often do here on the show, and that was at a different time of the word mental health. We're getting better at talking about it, but I just find that interesting at that time. How did that program go? Was it a successful program, or?
It was very successful.
Okay.
And as far as I know, it continued until the school closed.
Right.
It would work well. There were certainly challenging times with it where you got affected by stuff that you heard.
Sure, because you're still in school.
Right. So there was times where I heard about kids that were thinking of committing suicide.
Yeah.
And so then that would affect me, and then I would have to talk to somebody.
Right.
So.
Right. And then moving forward, like say you took the child and youth, what was it called?
Child and Youth Worker Program back then.
Yeah.
That's the old school name for it.
Yeah. And interestingly, because a lot of people go to school and they take something and then they either don't actually get involved in that career, or they do it for a while and then decide not to. But you've stuck with it all the way through.
Yeah, I was only 17 when I started into the program, which is quite young to do it. But I think my experience,
especially something like that.
I think my experience in high school with doing what I was doing helped with that.
Yeah.
The group I was with at the college really kind of helped me along to make sure things were okay. I wasn't 100% successful in college. I had to take a year off and go back and finish,
right?
Because of all the outside influences, I guess, that can happen in high school or in college.
Right.
So I ended up going
back. What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. I think we all know what I'm talking about.
Got a little distracted down at the pub?
Yeah, a little bit, even though I might not have been quite the right age to be in the pub, but I think the statute of limitations done on that, so I can't get in trouble anymore.
We're okay. I won't tell.
So it was college was a little bit of a challenge. Again, the academic piece, and I always found school easy, but I always found it hard the same way, like hard to keep motivated, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you're right. I got into the field right away. Started working in a group home.
Yeah.
And stayed with different group homes in the city for a while. I did a little bit of work at Lambton County Developmental Services in group homes in Watford. And then I got hired on at Eagle Rock Youth Services, which was an open custody place here in Sarnia.
Yeah.
And then I guess my big break was I got out of Huron House Boys Home.
Yeah.
And that's where kind of when I went into the program, that's where I was thinking I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I was there for 13 years.
Yeah.
And really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But
not without its challenges, right?
Oh, it certainly had its challenges.
Yeah.
The shift work was very difficult.
Yeah.
I have some health issues, so balancing that with the shift work was sometimes tough. The youth that we were working with, the challenges became bigger. I don't know if they really were different, but they just became more intense.
Just a little more amplified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I went on to become a manager at a place in Sarnia here at another local grassroots organization.
Yeah.
And then when I left there, I'm now managing at a private, for-profit counseling and consulting place. So
and it's called Pace?
Pace Incorporated. Right. Yeah. We're out of Wallaceburg originally, Wallaceburg and Walpole Island First Nation. We're now expanding towards Chatham and Sarnia-Lambton. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's it, folks. There's Andrew. No,
that's my career in a nutshell.
No, that's a resume though of many years, and you know, we'll come back to Pace. I want to talk more about that.
Okay.
Because I think that company, can I call it a company?
Yeah, it's a company.
They're doing some really great things though in our community,
you.
so I want to come back to that. But in the meantime of all of that, you fell in love at some point?
I fell in love many times.
Yeah. There's an honest man.
I'll be honest. My grandpa used to joke that I had an expensive habit of falling in love.
Right.
But no, I did find the love of my life and my current wife, at work.
Wait, you can't say my current wife.
Well,
my current wife.
Well, I always joke and say that she's been the best first wife. So.
Best first wife. There you go. Fortunately, I know Lindsay's got a great sense of humor there as well.
Yes.
But
yes.
How did that all come about?
We were both working at Eagle Rock Youth Services.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another, and we just hit it off and kind of went from there.
Okay, that's the good answer, because it's like if I kept asking questions, he'd be like, "Oh, David, I'm going to screw one of these questions up, and then I'm going to be in trouble."
Yeah.
Like, what was the first song you danced to, and all, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's about time when I turn a little red, and maybe we move on to a different topic.
Yeah, that's right. But it's been a great marriage. You've got two beautiful daughters.
Thank you.
Out of that, right? And they keep you busy.
They keep me very busy.
Yeah. What's their names?
Olivia and Isabella.
Yeah.
Izzy.
Izzy, right?
And she's an Izzy.
She's an Izzy, a busy Izzy.
She's a busy Izzy.
And they're involved in dance, both of them? Still?
Yeah, they've been in competitive dance since they were very young.
Yeah.
And actually this weekend they're at a dance competition in London.
Yeah.
They dance for Apex Dance Studios.
Yep.
Give them a little shout out.
Yeah, no, they're great down there at Apex.
And they love it. Olivia is now teaching there as well.
Yeah.
And Izzy's hoping to do a career in dance once she's done high school.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now you talk competitive dance, which it is for sure, and I've seen them. They're absolutely amazing, and Apex does a wonderful job. But there's a little competition between the girls.
There's always competition between them.
Right.
They always try to outdo each other and get the higher marks, and they do. I am happy though that they do different types of dances, so they're not head to head.
Right.
So it does certainly keep the peace in the house.
Because you don't have to pick sides.
That's right. That's right. As long as I go and watch both their dances equally, we're all good.
That's right. That's good. You and I met. I was trying to think of that the other day. Like, I know it was through karaoke, right?
Yes.
But was it Marson first, or was it?
It was Marson Bowl.
Wow.
I was almost 19.
Right.
Close to 19. And it was actually funny. My family and I went bowling at Marson Bowl this past weekend.
Oh yeah.
And I started telling some
stories.
David stories.
Oh boy.
And they got a good chuckle out of it.
Yeah.
So.
We had a lot of fun, and that's really how our friendship kind of ignited.
Yeah.
And then beyond the bar, so to speak, we went beyond that as well. And we've had many conversations over the years about mental health, and I think I had you on the show years ago, and that was what we talked about, was suicide. And I remember I looked back at that a few days ago, and I went, boy, I really had a hard time with that conversation because of the word suicide, right? I'm more comfortable with it now. But even now, sometimes to say the word, like I can say it easier than I used to, it still tugs a little bit to come off the tongue. But do you think that more and more people are getting better at being able to say the words out loud and ask the questions to their own children? And, have you had thoughts of hurting yourself? Do you think we're getting better?
I think we are.
Yeah.
I hope we are.
Yeah.
It's out there a lot more.
Yeah.
Even though in a professional environment that I've been in for 27 years, I still find it hard to ask someone straight up, are you thinking of completing suicide?
Yeah.
Are you thinking of killing yourself?
Yeah.
Coming right out and saying it.
Yeah.
And that's the directive that we're kind of given to do, because if you say it, then they're going to know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, true. And shout out to the Safe Talk program. I took that. And if you get a chance to take that, it's worth having. So many triggers and signals that I learned, and I've students that I teach, and I've had to ask that question. And one of the stigmas that or whatever that goes along with that is people are afraid to ask the question because they're worried that if the person wasn't thinking about it, now you've given them the idea, and that's a falsehood, right?
That's a myth.
Yeah,
that's a myth. If they're thinking about it, they're thinking about it.
Yeah,
that's the long and the short of it.
Yeah.
you're not going to put that in someone's head.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not going to happen. In fact, it could open up the floodgate for the other way and have them open up and start talking.
Right. Okay. Well, let's we'll come back to pace in just a moment. But there's more to you that I want you to talk about, like fishing. This is like, I don't think passion's the word. I think it's more like obsession.
If you look at my bank account, addiction might be the word that my wife would use.
Right.
Yeah, I do enjoy fishing quite a bit.
What is it that about fishing? I don't. If you want me to take me fishing, I'll go for the boat ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I enjoy all types of fishing. I enjoy creek fishing for trout. I enjoy going out in the boat and fishing for walleye or bass or perch. I enjoy shore fishing. I enjoy ice fishing, being out in the middle of the lake all by myself.
What is it about fishing?
I think a lot of it has to do with being outdoors.
Yeah. Because
I've always been into outdoors and camping and everything. And with fish, it's you're thinking a strategy on how to be smarter than the fish, right? You want to catch the fish.
It sounds so easy, like it's a fish, but they really are tricky buggers.
You really have to see where they are and what structure they're around and what baits to use. And I've been in a boat with a person, and I'll say I've been catching a lot of them, and then the person's using the exact same thing as me and is not catching anything. Right, so you never know.
Must be the line you're using or something.
It could be. You never know what it is, right? It's a very finicky sport.
Yeah.
And
you have times where you fish by yourself.
Yep.
And that's more of a solitude thing. You're on your own and thinking.
I use that for self-care.
Yeah.
A lot of it, because then I'm by myself. This winter I went out to Lake Simcoe by myself.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I stayed out in a hut.
What is he doing?
All by myself. There was no one else out there. And the silence was just amazing.
Yeah.
And you're left with your thoughts.
Yeah.
And you're left contemplating things and looking at things and looking at life. And it just, you know how people talk about going on retreats?
Yeah, right.
And how Aaron Rodgers went on his darkness retreat.
Yeah, right.
Right. So what I find is when I go on a fishing trip like that by myself, that's cleansing. Like that's very, takes all the stress or anything that's bothered me and it goes away.
Wow.
And I need that every now and then.
Yeah.
And it's
I like how you say that word self-care. Like I think that's a word I've been hearing more and more. It's something we need to do more and focus on.
Everybody needs to, because if you're not good yourself, you can't help other people.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
Right? I liken it to a cup, right? If your cup is empty, you can't give it to someone else.
Right. Yeah,
right?
So here, drink this, right?
Right.
There's
nothing there.
Yeah.
So if you're in a bad place yourself, you can't be expected to help other people.
Yeah.
So especially in my profession and any profession, really, we're always there helping people, whether it be family members.
But you're really privy to so many details of people's lives, and I've often commended Andrew and said, like, I don't know how you do it, and go home and carry on with because I mean, you got crap going on in your own life probably, right? And then you've got to deal with. Kudos to you and anybody in your position, because I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Thank you.
It's just amazing.
That's why self-care is so important for especially
well,
us.
that's what I was alluding to. Yeah, that you got to take care of that. And now there's the self-care and the fishing on your own, but then I know you have a friend that you like to go regularly fishing with, and I suspect that's for different reasons than being by yourself.
Well, I like to go fishing with him because I can usually make fun of him when we're fishing.
Right. We're talking about you, Christopher, if you're watching. We'll just say Christopher.
Christopher doesn't catch many fish.
Here we go.
Christopher, he's learning. He's a young Jedi.
He drives the boat.
Unfortunately, with the new boat, I've been driving it a lot. Hint, hint, wink, wink, Chris. But no, it's a good time out with him. We're both in the same field.
Yeah.
So if we need to kind of
counsel each other,
debrief a little bit about things, we can do that for the first little bit, and then we get down to the fishing. And him and I, we do have a boat, but we've also gone way up north for a week of fishing together, just to get away from everything. No internet,
everything
no
and
phones.
everybody.
That's right. Just us and the bugs.
Yeah.
So
right. Now you talk about the phone. So I think, is there a little bit of a joke between you two? about your phones and like when it's going off and going ding, ding, ding? I remember him telling me a story about, maybe it's you that's on the phone more.
I don't recall. See, I probably should go to the next question,
right,
because I don't remember.
I tried. Yeah. But seriously, the phones, like, well, Lord knows I'm guilty of always having my phone. If I was on my way to Toronto and I got halfway there and realized I forgot my phone, all of a sudden I'd turn around and come back and get it, right? What's that like in your field in dealing with, what am I trying to say? Is that is technology a part of the problem?
Technology is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
And COVID really showed that. It's really important to keep a good work-life balance. Yeah. So it's only recently that I've been giving out my personal phone number with work. Because the clients that I'm working with, they respect the timelines and when they can call me, when it's not an emergency.
Yep.
When it's not like crazy late hours, they know the other people to reach out to or the other numbers to reach out to during that time. And it's really important to remember when it's not work time, turn that phone off.
Yeah.
Or don't answer emails or don't answer texts. But then on the other hand, and again, what COVID showed us was social media can be an awesome way to reach people that have barriers to get service. So example, people that don't have vehicles or can't drive, right? They can go online. You can do a Zoom therapy session with them.
Wow.
And you can reach people anywhere, which has really helped on a lot of remote communities or people that can't get to services, which we found a lot of our caseload now, I would say probably 30% enjoy doing virtual. Yeah.
But isn't there, and I agree, I think it's great. Like, so tools, I've always said, like, people say, like, oh, that Facebook's not the problem. It's how we use Facebook that is the problem. Like, I always talk about the Facebook gossip, you know, people get going back and forth. Gossip was always there, folks. It's just now we're putting it out in the air kind of thing, right? You know, but isn't there a bit of a security issue in doing virtual?
No.
Like who's in the room?
You always have to be aware of that.
Yeah, okay.
However, the platforms now are that we use are very secure. And we make sure that we go through everything that we need to make sure that there's confidentiality. Yeah. If the client wants to have someone else in the room with them, I mean, we encourage that if that's a support person. Right. We even have some clients that will ask to have their parents there. Yep. So
which is, I guess, in probably many situations, a good thing. Depending on the relationship.
Depending on the relationship, right? Sometimes we can tell if a parent just wants to be there or if the client wants the parent to be there. There's a big difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I've always said to my kids, you know, like we keep so much in, right? You know, especially us guys.
Yeah. Oh.
We're typically the ones that try to hold back. But getting it out really, like, I remember taking a course too, and it talked about your beaker, you know. You get your beaker, it gets full, and there's a cork on top, and if it gets full, and there's all this pressure, and then sooner or later the cork blows, and then things don't usually go well right there. Yeah. You've been a bit of an advocate for specifically men and mental health. Talk about that.
Men, the stigma around men and mental health is still there.
What is that stigma?
If you talk about having poor mental health, you're weak. Yeah. If you reach out, you're weak. Unfortunately, that's still there. I have suffered from depression for many years, and I never would openly talk about it. I wouldn't bring it up to people. Nobody knew. I would deal with it on my own, and then at one point, I just went, I can't deal with it on my own.
And were those ways you dealt with it on your own, were they healthy choices?
No. No, because I didn't want to talk to people. So I would drink when I was feeling down, or I would do some reckless activities when I was feeling down. Yeah. And it's okay to feel down. I just want to put that out there first. It's okay to feel down. Right. Just don't live there.
Yeah, right.
Right? That's
it's okay to have a bad day, just don't have a bad week, month, all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's what I like to say. It's okay to be down, just don't live there.
Yeah, that's a great saying.
Because that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
And so kind of getting back to the question, men don't want to reach out. Men are afraid to reach out. Men, because even at my age, my father would have looked at that as a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
My grandfather wouldn't have even thought that would be an issue. Right? Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure my dad had depression.
Yeah.
Or another mental health issue.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, it's there. It's out front. I know we're getting more comfortable talking about it. You and I having this conversation about it.
Yep.
I recently was at Sarnia Sings.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, and let's talk about that experience in a moment. But finish, kind of wrap up the whole.
Yeah, kind of what I was going to get. I brought it up there, and the crowd really cheered for that because that's something that more people need to realize. It's okay as a man to say, "Hey, I'm struggling. I need help. I want to be the best person, father, uncle, brother, husband, grandparent that I can be."
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to talk to someone for that to happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need medication for that to happen. Right?
Yeah.
It really depends.
Yeah.
And I just think whoever, if anyone's listening to this now and they know someone or they themselves are struggling with their mental health, talk to someone.
Yeah.
Get the help.
And there's so much help in this community too, right? Like we have the distress lines, we have for younger folks, we have Kids Help Phone, and Kids Help Phone too is like texting. You can text and all. So, and that was well received at Sarnia Sings, and you kind of helped me allude into my next area of singing, like karaoke. Like I said, that's been our original connection, and you've been a rock star for a long time now.
I don't know if I would say that. I'm waiting for that commercial when you say, "Oh, that person at work's a rock star," and then Ozzy comes in, or there's a new commercial.
Oh wait, here comes Ozzy.
Yeah, I'm Oswald, the new worker, right?
Right.
The new one is Billy Idol just stole your golf cart.
Right.
But I enjoy singing. I always enjoyed singing.
Yeah.
From when I was a little kid, I did choir in school. And stuff, and I remember being at the music festival when I was younger, and then on to karaoke. My mom always sang.
That's
back when she was in high school, she sang. So I mean, it's kind of been with me since I was a little baby.
You and I have had a lot of fun with that too.
Well, we have had more fun than I think is probably legal.
That's a whole other show. Right. Singing together, $1 million, right? You know?
Yes.
Now you did Sarnia Sings, and I was so proud that you had applied. And I remember seeing that, and I said to my buddy, I said, "Oh boy," I said, I didn't. You came to the auditions, and I thought I should leave the room, just because. Well, I know what I was thinking of. I was thinking of all those times on stage at karaoke, right? And but you did really well, and then you got the call. How did you feel when you got the call?
I was scared. I was nervous, but it's a big bucket list thing for me, right?
Yeah.
I've always had a dream of singing in a band.
Yeah.
Always thought that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Can't play a lick of an instrument. I tried, can't do it. So being on my own wouldn't work. Just sing. Yeah. Maybe tambourine, maybe cowbell.
Right.
So yeah,
triangle.
I've always wanted to. And so that experience with Sarnia Sings, where you could be in front of a band, you could sing. There was no rehearsal. It was raw. Like you got out there and you did it. It was an amazing experience. And then again for the cause, for the purpose, which is so near and dear to my heart.
That's right.
It meant so much to be up
there. So for those who don't know, Sarnia Sings, Adam Dumond started this a few years ago, and it's Rockstar Live is the band. They're actual professionals. So you were up there like the guitar player from Killer Dwarves. Mm-hmm. He also played with Burton Cummings. And we had the bass player from Moist was on there, and the drummer and other guitar. They're all real rock stars, and there's no rehearsal at all. You get maybe 20 seconds of it, so you know what key you're in before the show starts, and then that's it, right? So it's a great experience, and it supports mental health. and awareness and suicide prevention as well.
And I just want to give a plug to those musicians too, because they're so supportive.
Oh yeah,
like they're
amazing.
Just they pump you up when you get out there. Yeah. They're smiling at you the whole time. Yeah. They're interacting behind you like you are the star.
That's right.
It's really amazing.
The spotlight's on you, the singer, for sure. And what an amazing night it was. If you go to Sarnia Sings on Facebook, there's some of the videos, clips that are starting to be released now too. So, but I remember you coming out on that, and I remember thinking, how am I gonna? I gotta relax Andrew here. So as the MC, I'm like, how do I get into his head to just kind of? And it worked out really well, because I was like, how are you feeling? And you were like, good. And I was like, you're lying.
And I admitted it, yes.
And the audience was laughing, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the audience right at that moment, they were there with you as well. Did you feel like, I mean, I know you had family and friends there, but the rest of the audience, did you feel like they were there with you?
And this is going to sound corny.
No.
But it felt like they all took their arms and gave a big hug.
Big hug, yeah.
As you were up there.
Right.
Like you didn't feel intimidated. You didn't feel anything. I know I messed up at one part, and they didn't even react to it. I mean, they just carried on. I carried on.
I didn't even notice.
So it was awesome.
I will say, I could tell at the beginning, you start the song, I'm like, it's just because I know you.
Yeah.
I don't think the audience realized it, but just because I knew, I'm like, oh, come on, Andrew, just keep going. And then all of a sudden, it was like this switch went off. You were all over the stage. You were doing the Gordy thing. You were really on cloud 9 right there. And then he wouldn't let it end. He kept going, swim with me. But it was great. It was hilarious in a good way. Yeah. And I was so proud of you in that moment. I was like, yes, right. You just nailed it. And then did you feel kind of a release after, like a release of proof that yes, I can do this?
Yeah, I think the big thing that hit me hard is when I got off the stage and I walked back out, and I had a friend come up to me and say, "You looked so happy up there. You looked like you were in your element."
Yeah, and
that meant a lot.
Yeah,
because it is. That's something that I really enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
and it was. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to do it. So.
Yeah. And it was so impactful on that audience too. Everybody that sang really had their own way of impacting that audience. So now you're starting your own band?
Yeah. If anyone out there is looking for a singer, mostly Canadian songs,
right?
Let me
all
know.
Tragically Hip.
Tragically Hip, Barenaked Ladies.
Right, there you go. You've seen Barenaked Ladies. I know they're actually, if you had to choose.
Oh, see, now you're not going to be fair.
Well, I think you'd pick Barenaked Ladies.
I know that Steven's no longer with the group, so there could be a hole there that needs to be filled.
Right, okay.
Just if you're watching, guys,
Naked Ladies.
pick me.
Right. They're how many times have you seen them?
Oh, geez, I'd say probably 10.
Yeah, right.
Probably 10.
Yeah, that's that right.
Yeah.
And you've traveled out of Sarnia. I know they've been here quite a few times.
Yeah, I've seen them all over.
Yeah.
All over southwestern Ontario, over in Michigan. Mm-hmm. So it's always been a good experience with them.
You had an experience too that I'm kind of jealous of years ago, and I really thought you would have put the plug in for me with this guy, but George Stroumboulopoulos, you got to meet him. What was that experience like?
So there was a contest on Facebook,
yeah.
And it said, if you're a Barenaked Ladies fan and you want to come down for a once-in-a-lifetime experience, an intimate thing, give us your name, but you got to be available tomorrow from 1 till 5.
Right.
And I was like, nah, why not, right? You never know if those things are legit or not.
You don't put it out there, right?
So, name, email, phone number. Next thing I get an email back saying, you've been selected as one of 12 people.
Wow.
To come down to Toronto and see an intimate recording with the Barenaked Ladies.
Right.
And I was like, is this legit? So I called a number back.
Oh, yeah, right.
Right? And I got a recording, a voice recording, and it was a management company. So I'm like, this might be legit.
Right.
So I thought, you know what? I'll drive down anyway. I have the address. If I drive by and it looks sketchy, I'm not going to stop.
Right.
Or there's something I can do in Toronto anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll find
it's not going to be a wasted day.
Right.
Drive down, and I'm looking at this place, and I'm like, that's a really nice house. I'm like, okay. So I parked and sat on a bench, and next thing, Ed drives by on a bike, and Kevin Hearn, and I'm like, hey, Tyler, and I'm like, okay, they are here. And then George comes out of his house, and he's like, this is my house, and we're doing a recording here. for the 50th, not the 50th, sorry, the anniversary of the Tragically Hip.
Okay.
And it was before they knew Gord was sick.
Right.
So they had planned it before that, but at that point they knew he was sick. So they did 3 Tragically Hip songs, and then they did one of their own, just kind of for us there.
Yeah.
We sat in the basement of the house,
right,
with them playing their instruments and everything.
House.
George's place, his recording studio.
Yeah.
And then it was broadcast on CBC. So there was a bunch of bands that did tribute to the Tragically Hip. So it was, and I got to meet the guys and talk to them and shake their hand.
And there was 11 other. There was 12 of you total.
12 of us. We weren't allowed to bring anybody else.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would have been there with me.
Yeah, yeah.
But what a cool experience.
Oh, yeah, totally.
What a cool experience.
And you didn't think to put the word into George, say, hey, I got this buddy of mine, he's a great talk show host.
I see, I didn't want to lie to him, right? So
I hear you. He's someone that I've he doesn't realize, like I've somewhat looked, well, not somewhat, I have looked up to him as a talk show host and an entertainer, etc. So, yeah, I saw that, and I remember you sharing the pictures, and I was like, I was like, that is amazing.
I had an interaction with George one other time before, too.
Oh, yeah?
We were at a Blue Jays game.
Oh.
And we were walking around the outside, and he was walking around. He dropped some papers. So, of course, I run over there, and here you go. And he's like, thank you very much. And my wife is like, you are such a fool around people that are like...
Are you starstruck?
Celebrities. I am.
Yeah?
I am. I get like that.
Right, eh?
Yeah, like when I'm with you, I'm starstruck.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
But yeah, it is. It's kind of like, wow, like people that you see on TV or people you listen to or people, it's like, wow.
They're just people, though.
They are just people.
Right.
And they have life struggles like everybody else, and they just make a lot of money.
Well, sometimes
for doing something they love.
Sometimes they do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember meeting Michael Landsberg.
Yep.
Do you remember him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
another big advocate for mental health.
Absolutely. Well, that's where I met him out in Petrolia. He was coming out to do a talk, and they were giving us time to interview him. And boy, he was really hard on me in the beginning. He was like, "What are you doing wearing a tie, buddy?" He goes, "Relax." It was really funny, right? And I was like, "Well, I don't get starstruck too often, and I've interviewed some pretty big names, but he was actually one that I was like, whew, right?" And then he gave me a compliment. He said, "You are an amazing interviewer," and I felt so comfortable. He says, "Usually I'm the one asking the questions, and I don't like to be interviewed." He said, "You did great." He just went on for about 2 minutes of complimenting me, and I was like, wow, I just kind of heard that from one of the greats, right? So you've been able to meet some cool people, and how about them Leafs?
We're in a bit of trouble right now.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. We're in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about those Sting?
Well, I wouldn't say the same exactly. I would say it's really game on now, right?
They got to win one in London.
They got to win one in London. But no, they're coming back here now.
Yeah.
So
they got to win Sunday,
and then
but they still have to win one in London.
And it seems like a home game series, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what it's been so far.
So close last game, though. So close.
I don't know. It's just I was at Brownstones watching it, right? I was just like, yeah. I had my jersey on and everything. Me, who originally, I don't even know how to spell sports most of the time.
I remember.
I've been working with this thing for about 7 years now, and that's been cool. But anyway, not about me. Back to you. Some more. So singing and then fishing, and I mean family. I know how important family is to you, and it shows, at least in your Facebook posts, and then I know you personally well enough. You guys really spend a lot of time together as a family.
Yeah, I think
that's cool to see.
I think that comes from the fact that I always wanted that from my parents,
and you didn't get it.
I never really had it, so I always said that I was always going to do everything I could for my kids. I was always going to give them everything I possibly could, and my mission was to make memories with them. Mm-hmm. Because money can come and go, but memories will last forever.
That's right.
So we do a lot of things together. We travel a lot together.
You camp, right?
We camp all the time. We have a trailer. They have got into my interest of wrestling. So we have gone to wrestling events together. They fish.
Yeah.
They both enjoy fishing. It's great. They're and as they're growing up, they're 13 and 17 now, so they're
trouble.
They're women now, and they have their own lives, but they still really like hanging out with mom and dad, and that means a lot.
Yeah, it's cool that they want to do that, because at that age especially, a lot of times it's like, yeah, okay, whatever, like, see you later. One of your daughters, I'm sorry, I can't remember which one, but has had like spinal...
Olivia has scoliosis.
Yeah.
And it was pretty severe, and she had to have metal rods put in down in London. It was during COVID, which was an experience in itself.
I bet.
So proud of her. She's still doing competitive dance. She was back to doing competitive dance 3 months after the surgery.
Yeah.
And
she's like the bionic woman.
Yeah. She's got more rods and screws in her back. She can't bend it very much, but she still manages to do all her dance moves.
Yeah.
And the judges would have no idea watching her dance.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I kind of watched that story from afar there, and there's been, and that, would you say how well she's done with all that? It comes from all your family structure and the support that you give each other?
I think that's part of it, but she's a very strong-willed girl.
Strong-willed?
Yes.
Where does she get that from?
I have no idea. It must be her mom.
Yeah.
She's very determined. She's very focused on things. She's going to do great things in life.
Yeah. So is there's always this is cliche, but so is Olivia more like you, and is Izzy more like Lindsay? Or?
You know, I thought so. But now things are a little different. I see Izzy has my sense of humor.
Oh boy.
Which is frightening.
Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't help but laugh because I just know his sense of humor really well.
Yeah. She gives it right back to me now.
Yeah.
Olivia too is getting there, but I think when it comes to dedication and work ethic and everything, Olivia's a lot like her mom.
Yeah.
Lindsay's very dedicated to work and family and committed to when she starts something, she finishes it.
Right.
Where I sometimes get distracted. I'll eventually finish it. But
right.
It might take me a different route to get there.
At least you're honest.
Yeah, hey, why not? And then Izzy's very much the entertainer. Like she likes being in front of people. She likes the attention.
Yeah.
She likes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, she likes performing.
Yeah.
And I think she gets that from me. Because
Yeah.
Lindsay would rather be in the background. I like to be out front.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a good mix of both of us.
Yeah. And you have another passion. Is it passion? But I guess a pastime that you enjoy. You love the slot machines.
We have a love-hate relationship.
Right, yeah.
No, I did my first trip to Vegas last year.
Yeah.
And it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I really
It's overwhelming
enjoyed it.
the first time.
It's very overwhelming. Yeah. We tried to do everything in the 4 days we were there.
Yeah.
And I was very tired afterwards.
Right.
Realized I wasn't 20 anymore.
Tired was the word, yeah.
Yeah.
And you drove?
To Vegas.
Oh no, not to Vegas.
We recently went to Atlantic City.
That's right. You drove there, right?
And that was a good experience. That was just my wife and I, and we.
Something special happened over that.
Well, I gave her a ring. It's been we're getting on our 20th anniversary.
That's crazy. Your 20th anniversry.
Yeah.
I DJ'd their wedding.
Yeah, it's
that's amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just it's just a night out. I figure it's I've got friends there too. We talk, and it's just a night out, fun night. So.
That's right. Let's come back to PACE now before we wrap things up and talk about what is PACE.
So PACE Incorporated started out as a counseling service by Ken O'Neill, who's a child and youth worker. We actually graduated college together.
Oh, okay.
He went on to start this right after college. Where I went in another direction. And then through the years, we've always kept in touch. And then the opportunity came where he was looking for a manager because he was expanding his business. And so that's when him and I talked, and we talked a few times, and he checked out my references, I think, more than I've ever had anybody check my references.
Well, there's a lot
working with friends, working with acquaintances is sometimes a challenge.
Yeah.
But we're going on 2.5 years now. Yeah. And things have been going great. We have 5 counselors or 5 therapists that work with us, including art therapists and EMDR. And then your psychotherapists that do regular talk therapy. We've expanded to cover, like I said, Chatham and Sarnia-Lambton areas now. We have offices in Sarnia, we have offices in Corunna, Wallaceburg, and Walpole Island. We do counseling, therapy, consulting. We do case management, which is a big part of what we do. And then we have the PACE program, which is in partnership with Walpole Island First Nation. And we're funded through that by Jordan's principal. And we have an agreement with the Lambton Kent District School Board. So we are in Wallaceburg District Secondary School. We have an office there that runs the program, and we support any Walpole Island First Nation student that's struggling with their mental health, any school stuff, if they just need a spot to talk. And then we help them with that. If they need a snack, we have snacks in there all the time, right? Because if you have food, they will come,
right?
Especially teenagers. And then we're just there as an overall extra support system in the school. We have the same thing on Walpole Island at the school there, at the elementary school. And our therapists can work directly out of there. So the kids don't have to leave the school. With the Lambton Kent District School Board, the kids see us at another place in Wallaceburg. So again, instead of having to leave and miss half day of school for therapy sessions, they can walk down the road, be gone for an hour, and then be back to school.
Wow!
So it's
this is a huge support organization.
It is, and then we also support any Walpole Island student at any school in the Lambton Kent District School Board. So I've got one client that I support at Alexander Mackenzie School. So I go in there and I work with him. So.
Nice. And this came along at a time when you were sort of going, like your life was changing for you, and you kind of had a little bit of or what am I going to do now? Or I could do this, or I could do that. So timing was everything, I guess, when this opportunity came to you, right?
Yeah, I was at a bit of a crossroads and deciding what I wanted to do with my future. And I thought about going back to school. I thought about maybe a career change. I just wasn't sure. And then a mutual friend of both Ken and I said, "Hey, wait a minute. Ken's kind of looking for someone, and you're looking," and she connected us, right? Yeah. So thank you, Tammy. That was great.
Yeah.
But I find in this career as child and youth work, you're always looking what else you can do, right? You always, the burnout rate for a child and youth worker is every 7 years.
Yeah,
I think that's just the way it is.
In fact, you've been doing it for like 27.
Yeah,
right.
But changing different places is basically a new story.
So like you say, you stay here, you stay there, you move around. But PACE, anytime I've talked to you about this, seems like this is it?
This is it.
Yeah.
This is I work with a fantastic team.
Yeah.
The therapists that I work with are amazing. They're great at what they do. They have so much passion for their work. The PACE program employees are one of a kind. I don't think I've seen more compassion and caring in people. And then working for Ken, he understands work-life balance. He knows that there might be a day where you just need a break, and you can't give your fullest. And so we work around that. And then also in that line, he might come to you on a day and say, "I need you a little later today."
Right.
So it all works out. But I hope he doesn't see this, but I couldn't ask for a better boss.
Right.
He's very understanding. He's very caring. He tries not to show that to people, but he is a very caring, compassionate person as well.
Yeah. So are you, Andrew. I've learned so much from you over the years, and you've given support to me, my family, and others, and we've connected a lot of people together. And I think you're in the right spot because your heart is so genuine to what you do, and I think that's a big part of your success and all of that. So I wish I had more time because there's so much more we could talk about, but our hour has gone by just like that, right? And thank you, Lindsay, for letting me have them for a while. I think the girls are getting their hair done right now.
They're
or
doing
something.
hair and makeup because they have a dance competition in London this afternoon.
Right. Well, good luck at the competition. And Andrew, thanks for being my friend and my brother. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you,
Appreciate
David.
it so much. And as I always say to all of you, click the like and the love and all that. That's wonderful. But click the share button so we can share the messages of the guests that I have here on the show, especially here today, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Thomas. That's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. We'll see you next time here on the show. Bye for now. Good job.
Awesome.